What's up, college football addicts? Today, we're going to talk about some major problems with the college football playoffs. I'm not really hearing anyone else talk about these issues, but I've got some pretty big problems that I can see going down with the 12-team format that we're going to. Before we get into it, I don't want you to misunderstand my argument. There is no doubt in my mind that the 12-team playoff is a massive improvement over the 4-team that we had in 2023 and then going backwards. So just hear me out. Don't swing too hard with your battle axes. I'm not saying that we need to go back to the 4-team. I think the 12 is a drastic improvement. As someone who a lot of times supports a team that got snubbed, I think a 12-team playoff is certainly an improvement. There are 5 reasons that I think that this is not ultimately where we should be in our sport with a 12-team playoff. Number 1, I think there's a decent chance that this creates a disadvantage for rested teams who get the bye week. This isn't going to be like just an extra bye week in the season where you just take 1 week off and then get back to work. This isn't going to be like the NFL playoffs where you play week 17 and then you get a bye and then you're back playing just a week later. No, after your conference championship games, you're going to have several weeks off in a row prior to playing. And then you get the advantage of another week, an extra week on top of those. So instead of being like a regular bye week, it's going to be like a team who played in a week 0 game coming out ready to roll against a team who is playing in week 1 that didn't get that benefit of the extra tune-up game before. This is going to make those first-round bye teams potentially rusty and actually put them at a disadvantage when playing the next round team. We understand how college football works. There is usually a pretty big break between where you'd consider the top few teams and then the next grouping and then your teams 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then they get to go play that 4th seed team having that tune-up game the week before. Now, I understand in certain scenarios, yes, it will be good to get the rest. It will be good to get guys healthy for that extra week, but you've already had a few weeks off. I don't know that that 1 extra week is really doing anyone a favor. I think it's disadvantage the team that has the bye. Reason number 2, the top 4-seeded teams getting a bye are depriving their fans of exciting first-round matchups and creating an advantage for the rested teams. And I know you guys are going to say, what about the NFL? They do a bye week. And I'm going to tell you that most fans are almost always going to prefer their team play. And I would definitely echo that. I would rather see my team play than sit on the sidelines and not be part of the action. Personally, think the NFL is making a huge mistake by continuing to do a bye week. A bye week that they've eliminated for this number 2 overall seed when they added the extra game in the playoff, but a bye week that still happens for the number 1 overall seed of each conference. There are other ways you could reward NFL teams. There are other ways you could reward playoff teams, but don't deprive them of what they want. There are other ways to reward them without cutting the product. Maybe you sell slightly more tickets to the neutral site games of their teams when they move on. Maybe the 1 seed gets 60% of the tickets and the 8 seed that they're playing against gets 40% of the tickets. I don't know. I don't get paid millions of dollars to figure these things out, but I do know that the fans want to see teams play games. They don't want to see bye weeks. Fans get annoyed at bye weeks that happen in the regular season. They're certainly going to later in the year as well. Before we get to number 3, if I'm still got you here tuned in with us, take a second to subscribe. We've got more good content on the way really soon, and I don't want you to miss any of that. But let's get back to our reasons. Number 3, this is one that I know, working with some local businesses, local economies are going to suffer. Remember, the first round is going to be played at the home team stadiums. Seeds 1 through 4 get a bye. Seeds 5 through 8 get home games. So think about this. Cities missing out on those playoff games are going to miss out on tons of tourism and revenue and the economic benefits associated with hosting playoff games. We're talking millions and millions of dollars of local impact to an economy for a game of this magnitude. Not just the game of this magnitude, not just the economy, but your team as well. We'll get to that one in a moment. Number 4, I think players ultimately want to play. Many athletes prefer the challenge and the exposure of additional games, much more than they would prefer an extra bye week toward the end of their college career. They'd rather play than have decreased playing time. We talked about what the fans would want. I think it's true for the athletes as well. I think the athletes would enjoy having the extra game, the extra time on the field. Number 5, I think this is the biggest one. The conferences and the schools make more money from additional games. That is just the fact of the matter. Obviously, it would benefit the entire system for the extra games that are currently being sacrificed for buys. Everyone would win financially. And you may not think this is the case, but I promise you your AD would rather more games be played. I promise you your AD would rather a home game be played in his stadium than his team getting a bye. I can't guarantee you what your coach would want. I can't guarantee you what your starting quarterback would want. I think they'd want to go out and play. I think they'd want to play in that game. Folks, they're already getting the rest. The rest is not the factor. The bye week is just a mistake from the word go. Now, if it was a bye week that just gave you the week after conference championships off and then you were playing that very night, that'd be one thing, but that's not our situation here. The obvious side effect of all of this is that you are going to see fans openly rooting for their team to finish 5th and 6th as opposed to 3rd and 4th in the. Now, if you can be the number 1 overall seed, that's one thing, right? Being number 1 overall, that holds something with it, and you're probably going to get the most favorable route. But would you rather be the 4 seed, knowing that you're going to have to play the 1 seed one way or the other, or would you rather be the 5 seed that gets to take on a 12 seed at your own home stadium? Well, some of you might say, I'd rather have the bye. But most of you are going to say, no, I want to see a playoff game in my own home stadium. Being the 4 seed seems like you get gypped. 5 seed gets to play the lowly 12 seed. That's probably a 3 or 4 loss team. The 4 seed sitting home getting rustier. The 5 seed, even if they play poorly, probably is going to beat that 12 seed. How many 12s do you have upset in 5s? A lot in basketball, not so much in football, especially when you think about that 12 seed's probably going to be from a group of 5 conference. I'll take the group of 5 champion in the home playoff game over sitting at home. I know your AD would take it. I know your local economy would take it. I know your players would take it over being rusty over another week. Again, it's the benefit of having that week 0 game. It's the same thing, but this time the stakes are so much higher. Luckily, we only have to deal with this system until 2025. I think it's almost a certainty that they will increase it to 16 teams as soon as they can. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think the bye week is going to hurt the top 4 teams? I certainly do. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on this are, and we'll share ours in response to you as you let me know yours. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys the way you've supported this new channel. Well over 3,000 subscribers at this point. We just started this thing 3 weeks ago tonight on the night I'm recording this. I appreciate you guys for all the support. Help us continue to grow the channel. It's College Football Addiction. I appreciate you guys for being part of it. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.